Welcome, Motenta people. Life odds are mostly natural, no matter how we try to live above them. It has a way of surfacing at every stage of life. Judy Garland is a legendary icon whose reputation was marred by circumstances around her, from a distasteful upbringing and unpleasant addiction to unwholesome family life. Her remarkable career success failed to compensate for her social miseries, as she was left with suicidal tendencies and its inevitable disastrous end. Why was Judy Garland forced to modify her body? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Motenta's channel. By the time I'm through with you, you would think it would have been better if you were never born. A man once told another in a heated argument that resulted in mortal combat. I still recall how it ended. Now reading about the life and time of Judy Garland, that memory quickly comes to mind. Garland is a woman that worked so hard to create a name for herself. She is among the best-known film stars of all time. Apart from her successful acting talent, Garland was an astonishing singer and Grammy Award winner. Nevertheless, her private life amidst the rise and fall that characterized her career was pitiable. A life that was tragically engulfed in drug abuse, failed marriages, and poverty that would end in depression for such a nature-made talent. The last time I checked, Garland began a wonderful career as a toddler when she turned 2.5 years old. Was it a coincidence or a case of natural talent? Even as it was rumored that the pregnancy that brought her was almost aborted by her mother. Performing alongside her elder sisters, Susie and Jimmy, Garland stood out as a promising star. And by the time she was 13, she had already taken on her first movie contract, although properly policed by her pushy mother. She started appearing in many films, and at the age of 20, she earned a Special Academy Award for the role she played in The Wizard of Oz. This made almost everyone think that she would have become a wealthy lady that other people would depend on, but the reverse seems to be the case. How Garland, one of Hollywood's upbeat stars, ended her life in such a miserable way is not just painful, but a tragedy that most people believed could have been avoided. No thanks to her ambitious mother, who wanted all her daughters to excel in show business, but would later find the gold she was looking for in her little daughter, Garland, and was ready to exploit her to the fullest. Analysts attribute her early success to dedication, persistence, and careful planning by her mother after many years of nurturing and positioning for such. She was desperate, and even if it means giving the little girl sleeping pills to help her sleep while on the road, she did not blink an eye at that, as she was an ex-burlesque performer herself. Married 5 times, with 4 unfortunate divorces within her short career, Garland's sadness could not have been worse, a situation that is also instrumental in her ill luck and other career travails. By age 10, she was already touring the country as a soloist with her mother. How this contributed to make things worse, we cannot tell, but Garland supposedly described her mother in a 1967 interview as a mother who was a mean stage mother. She also stated that she was very jealous, even though she had absolutely no talent. She would stand in the wings. If it didn't feel good, she'd say, "Get out and sing or I'll wrap you around the bedpost." So I'd go out and sing, she painfully narrated. The appearance of 16-year-old Garland at the time in The Wizard of Oz, as the exposed and astonished Dorothy Gale, would become the best culturally significant and successful movie theater of all time. It was not a coincidence, therefore, that her birthplace in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, is now turned into a museum in celebration of her life and career. Frances Ethel Gum, popularly known as Judy Garland, was born on the 10th of June 1922 in Minnesota to Ethel Marion and Frances Event Gum. Her parents were renowned vaudevillians that settled in Grand Rapids to operate their flick performance that was all about vaudeville acts. Being the youngest of her siblings, little Garland had an early start in life. Baby, as she was fondly called, inherited what her family loved, singing and dancing. No wonder her parents did not hesitate to throw her into stage performance as early as 2 years old. So innocent and beaming with life, this raw talent joined her older sisters on stage at her father's film theater for the period of a Christmas display. She was said to have sung a chorus of Jingle Bells then. The Gum sisters, as they became known, carried on a few years with her mother's assistance with piano. She later found herself in Lancaster, California, following her father's rumored homosexual attribute that made him move his family over and continued the family business. But this time her mother was busy preparing her and others with the hope of getting them into the movies. Sometime in 1928, the Gum Sisters enlisted in Kitty's dance troupe, appearing in its Christmas shows, and would appear first in a film called The Big Review in 1929. The next year they show up again in A Holiday in Storyland, where Garland did her first on-screen solo performance. As their performance grew, they decided to take the name Garland for their shows, and Judy Garland became the star that stood out among them. Although they made their last on-screen appearance in La Fiesta de Santa Barbara of 1935. When Judy Garland and her father arrived at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios for a sudden audition, Garland executed Zing with the Strings of My Heart and Eli Eli, a Yiddish melody she is familiar with, and was given a contract supposedly without a screen test. Even when they had no idea of how to use her skill at the age of 13, since she was older than the usual child actor, but not ripe for adult roles. Apart from her discouraging physical size, she was said to be self-conscious and anxious about her appearance. According to Charles Walters, who directed her in some movies, she was a real beauty, and among the big moneymakers at the time. She was said to have some sort of inferiority complex, which she said affected her emotionally and worsened by how she was socially addressed. After her father's sudden death, she was further devastated, but managed to continue her performances. First, she was cast opposite Deanna Durbin in Every Sunday in 1936. It was not so good for her, but when she performed You Made Me Love You, I Didn't Want to Do It, which the studio prepared for her as a kind of test. It was excellently done that she repeated it at the All-Star Extravaganza Broadway Melody in 1938. Thereafter, she was paired with Mickey Rooney in Backyard Musical String and appeared in other films by MGM. But something was happening to her. As a young artist, they encouraged her to take amphetamines so she could stay awake and complete the films already lined up for her, and with barbiturates for sleep at bedtime. This constant drug use, she once alleged, caused her addiction and the age-long struggle. At a point in her life, she hated her hectic schedule at MGM and accused them of stealing her youth. But Rooney, who passed the same process with her, absolved the studio of any wrong, insisting that, unfortunately, Judy chose that path. But there was an indication that although Garland's weight was okay for her health, the studio regularly wanted her to be on diet and had to reduce her rations during mealtime, although a different account disputed this assertion. All of these added to her low self-esteem, all through her life despite her successes in films, with all the accolades, including her ability to attract huge audiences at a concert show. Sometime in 1938, Garland made that historic appearance as Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz, a film taken from a 1900 kids' book by L. Frank Baum. It was here that she did a song that she is today known for, Over the Rainbow. The movie became a whirlwind success. Although with a high promotional budget and discounted children's tickets, the income was low until it was reproduced in the 1940s. It gave her an Academy Juvenile Award for her roles in 1939. She became the fourth person to get that recognition and happened to be among the only 12 in history to have it. She became a very hot actress in the U.S. at the time. Regardless of all the troubles that she went through career-wise and irregularity in her private life, Garland's excellency also gave her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress for her role in A Star is Born in 1954, and another for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Judgment at Nuremberg in 1961. But unfortunately, fans were shocked on that fateful day that the news of her tragic death went viral, with rumors that she committed suicide. The truth was that Garland was found dead in her rented apartment in London. An investigation later revealed an incautious self-overdose of barbiturates. It further revealed a 97 milligram sample in her blood, which the examiner concluded was an unintentional overdose, disputing the suicide gossip. Her autopsy further corroborated the assertion because no inflammation nor drug excess was in her stomach lining. Her death certificate therefore stated, accidental cause. History will not forget her record-breaking concerts. She did 8 studio albums and introduced an Emmy-nominated TV series known as The Judy Garland Show when she was 39 years old. Garland was not just the youngest and first lady beneficiary of the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award in the industry in 1997. She was retrospectively given a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Recall also that the American Film Institute placed her among the 8 greatest female screen legends of classic Hollywood cinema. Garland's life challenges and many other personal issues began very early in life. The stresses of premature fame did irreparable damage to her psyche, alongside social pressures occasioned by the nature of her career and her physique, evidently worsened by the kind of criticism she got from studio executives. It does appear that she got internalized with wrong messages about her persona, hence would seek an escape at the slightest opportunity, which unfortunately she found in drug addictions. Alcohol and related substance abuse will always leave its victims bankrupt and miserably depressed. Perhaps the reason she finds herself in a financially unstable situation, which made her borrow money regularly and leaves behind huge unpaid bills. When things became so rough with her financially, she was sad to have lived like a destitute, but kept pushing with a meager $100 per night that she made by singing in bars. She was also said to have serially fallen ill as a result. To add to her nightmares, Garland had an erratic marital life. Her first marriage was said to have come as a way of freeing herself from the shackles of her mother. It was in 1941, the time she was 19 years old. She was united with a 30-year-old music creator, David Rose, of course against her mother's opinion, and MGM too. David and her mother were said to have forced her into having an abortion when she became pregnant, because of how an unwanted child will spoil her image in the industry, they cautioned. And so divorce was inevitable. And in 1945, Garland married director Vincent Minnelli. The two had a child, Liza, but Minnelli was in an illicit affair with a man. Again, a divorce was imminent, and in 1954 it was over with him. With her third husband, Sidney Luft, Garland had 2 kids. There were reports that he once forced Garland to have an abortion at a point in their relationship too. Then her fourth partner was actor Mark Herron, whom she later also discovered to be a homosexual. Then Herron was also in a devoted relationship with a certain actor. The union was an abusive one for her that was marred with disrespect and violence. Even though it was very brief, she had to do what was needed by also divorcing him. Mickey Deans, the man that once came to deliver stimulants to her, later fell in love and the two were wedded. The conjugal relationship was just 3 months before her unfortunate demise. According to her co-worker Rosalind Wilder, it appeared that her husband wanted to satisfy her need in a way that turned into a disaster for them. He gave in to her, fed her all the things she wanted, she had said. It does appear that she was one of those who detest their childhood upbringing and everything that has to do with it. As she was once quoted to have said, "I don't associate Frances Gum with me. She's a girl. I read about the way other people do. Judy Garland was born when I was 12 years old." A statement like this is perhaps the reason she was described by a writer as a child star with adult problems. She grew up in an unhappy home where her mother almost aborted her during pregnancy, but why her mother preferred that option was not clear. But rumors have it that it would not be unconnected to her husband's homosexual drive with teenage boys at the time, with some saying that it affected her mother's feelings towards her. So Garland came into the world with some sort of hatred. As a kid, Garland once recalls dreading the idea of her parents divorcing. "As I recall, my parents were separating and getting back together all the time. Of course, I remember clearly the fear I had of those separations," she had said. Ironically and sadly too, she got a maximum share of separation in her own life, more than her parents. Growing up was not easy as she found herself visiting places that were not appropriate for children. The bad nightclubs that were often rated for gambling, all occasioned by her mother, who was tossing her around so she could become the star she wanted her to be. Significantly, when Judy Garland died on the 26th of June 1969, at the age of 47, and regardless of her confirmed cause of death, in an obituary about her that was made public outlined some of the illnesses that may have led to her death to include hepatitis, exhaustion, kidney ailments, nervous breakdowns, near-fatal drug reactions, overweight, underweight, and injuries suffered in falls, as reported in the media. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. There is much doubt surrounding Judy Garland's death. The same could be said of Natalie Wood. How Natalie Wood left Hollywood's biggest mystery behind. Find out from this video.